Rachel from Cap and Cork, and we are stepping up to the bar again for another episode of Drinking Outside of the Box. Brian, what are we going to do today?
Well, being that it's been cold and dreary the past couple days,
Yep.
and looks like
Fall is officially here.
we're going to do coffee
Fair
drinks. You know, it's America's technical favorite beverage out there.
Is that like second to margaritas?
I think so.
Okay.
You know, but this is without the alcohol. With the alcohol, we're going to make it a little bit more. And coffee is just, it's a wonderful, highly nuanced beverage.
And I think it's a great pairing with spirits, just from the standpoint of like the flavors and the richness and the depth that you can get.
Right. And since it plays well with so many other things that are outside of the alcohol realm,
right,
that you can make amazing drinks with them.
All right. So, in the drinking outside of the box model,
right,
we start off with a classic.
Classic.
What's our classic?
Irish coffee. You can't get more.
Beat it.
And it's one of those fantastic. It follows kind of the same formula that all alcoholic drinks that are classic. It's a few ingredients that come together to make something that's amazing.
All right.
So we're going to start off with making some coffee. I like using a Chemex just because there's not a more beautiful cup of coffee that's made that's in a Chemex.
Okay.
And then you froth up some cream. I like mine a little sweet, so you use some syrup, and it's Irish whiskey.
And voila.
So I'm going to make the coffee and froth the cream, and we'll be right back.
All right.
How you doing this?
This is probably one of those episodes where we wish we had smell-o-vision.
You really can't go wrong with the smell of coffee brewing.
Maybe we should just encourage everybody to just, make a cup of coffee and enjoy, or... All right, and now you're frothing just...
Heavy whipping cream.
Okay.
And if you don't have one of these little immersion frothers, get one.
Oh, they're glorious.
They're like $3.
And they're great for all sorts of things. So my husband and I are avid hot chocolate drinkers or cocoa drinkers in the winter. So they're great for mixing any of those powders. Even protein drinks, if you do protein drinks with breakfast or something like that. You're multi-talented today.
Many hands.
Is this something that would be easy to make for, you say, like after dinner cocktails?
Well, I mean, for a group, this is a super
small group.
It's a great thing. You make up as much coffee as you want. If you don't want to whip up your own cream, buy a can of Ready Whip. Nobody's angry with what Ready Whip. And then you just
need the job done.
You just need Irish coffee, and then you don't have to add sugar if you use the Ready Whip because it's already pretty sweet.
Infused. Yep. Frothing complete.
Coffee almost complete.
Almost.
And if you don't have a hot water kettle, get one of those too, because they're just fantastic.
If nothing else, Brian, you bring us so many gadgets
and toys
and things that we all need in our kitchen and in our lives to make them simpler. We appreciate it. So what are our ratios?
It's still those standards. I don't like mine super sweet, but I do like it a little sweet. So this is just about 1/4 ounce Demerara syrup, and then 1.5 ounces of Irish whiskey. And I'm using Teeling today.
Okay.
It's a fun little Irish whiskey.
Will a different type of Irish would change the flavor profile a little bit?
It will, but since you're using coffee, you don't need to use the great stuff. Don't use the bottom stuff. Shoot right down the middle.
Your coffee is gonna obviously...
It should be the star.
Carry through.
Teeling's a fun one. It was the first new distillery in Ireland in 100+ years.
Okay.
Before that, it was just Jameson and Bushmill, Middleton and Bushmills. So then Teeling came along, brought craft distilling back to Ireland. So that's why it's a fun little product to have around for that.
That is a good story.
Then we take our nice hot coffee,
Oh wow, that looks delicious.
Fill it most of the way up, leave some room for that cream.
I think this one should be at the top of everybody's list right now.
I mean, for the day's weather, this time of year, Indiana, you really can't go wrong with a nice hot cup of coffee.
Perfect.
With Irish cream.
Oh, it's glorious. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh wow. Super well balanced, like classic coffee right off the gate, but
it's nice and nutty. It has the warmth of both the coffee and the alcohol. Sipping it through that cream though cools it off right before you get it.
And just a gentle sweetness.
Right, not that Starbucks coffee sweet. Just a nice, very tasty drink.
Because even sometimes I worry with sweetness overwhelming some of the either the spirit or in this case the coffee. It can just like consume it, but everything plays really well nicely, or really nicely
there's a reason
together.
It's a classic cocktail that has been around this long and people still love ordering it.
And you just want to wrap your hands around it.
And you know, you can't go wrong with the classic Irish coffee mug.
It's beautiful. All right, so classic covered. How are we gonna step just slightly outside of the box?
Well, we all love our old fashions, and we've done an old fashioned video.
And we live in an old fashioned town.
I would agree. So we're gonna go old fashioned.
Okay.
Except we took our fantastic bottle of Rittenhouse Rye, which I have stated multiple times and will continue, is the most fantastic old-fashioned whiskey out there. But then I used whiskey from this to cold brew coffee in for 24 hours.
Okay, explain the process to me on this one.
Well, so instead of using water,
I
used whiskey for 24 hours. So it is going to be nice spicy rye, 100 proof,
and coffee.
Pretty intense coffee flavor into it.
Okay.
So we're going all the traditional flavors. We're still going with the citrus, except we're going blood orange. So a little bit more bitter, less bright flavors, but it'll play way more with the coffee. We're still going dark for cherries. And just to keep going on with that, we are going with cherry and chocolate.
Nice.
Bitters.
All right.
So we're kind of just gonna jump right into it again. So
how would somebody go about doing the cold brew infusion on the coffee then, or the cold brew coffee with the whiskey?
I have a fancy bottle that takes care of it for me. Has a basket in the bottom.
So the infusion bottle that you used in one of our other episodes.
Right. I use that. You can use, you can just tie it up in a coffee filter and throw it in a jar of it.
Accomplish the same thing.
It will take care of it.
Nice. So beyond that, then, are you using the cold brew whiskey, coffee in the same ratio, or
I used just about. I ground enough coffee for 8 cups of water to make this bottle.
That bottle?
A whole bottle.
Okay. So what do we have in the glass now?
So we have our blood orange, our dark cherry, our cherry bitters, and we're about to have our chocolate bitters. And then we're going to do a little bit of syrup, muddle, ice, whiskey, stir.
Still not incredibly complicated. Simple. And if you do a little prep work with it.
Right. You have your ice ready to go. If you have your fruit cut, you can have all of the things ready to go. And again, I don't like mine super sweet. You want the more bitter fruits to come through, so we're just doing under a 1/4 ounce syrup.
That in itself, with the blood red orange and the cherry and the syrup, looks like a dessert.
It is. I mean, it's delicious. And as we like to do, big fancy ice that doesn't fit in the glass all the way. The whiskey will melt that down.
It'll be fine.
Come in. We're going 2 ounces because we really want the coffee and the whiskey to shine. If you're not making a mess, you're not doing it right.
So this would be obviously a good extension of our old-fashioned conversation.
Right.
When we went through all the iterations and had different variations, this is just one more jumping off.
One more thought process. And
Yep.
I'm really not trying to make it overly cold because it'll mute the coffee,
Okay.
but it is
So,
dark color.
Decidedly darker, but even you think of what the blood red orange and the cherry and everything in there to begin with was very deep tones.
Right. And it smells of coffee.
Coffee, right off the
Nice,
nose.
rich, nutty.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So amazing on the palate. Like,
To me, it's the bitter orange right up front.
and even the bitterness of the coffee, because that in itself has a little bit of bite to it.
Yes.
But the spice,
Comes through. Nuttiness at the back end of the coffee. Just a touch sweet. It's pretty fun.
the complexity of what it does to your palate is like amazing.
Yes, it's not anywhere near your typical, sometimes candy sweet, old fashioned. This is almost the other spectrum.
Yeah, you're waking up a whole new category of your taste buds. Wow. Is there anybody in town that makes a coffee cold brew infused old fashioned?
I don't know.
It needs to happen. So, we've tackled a classic of Irish coffee.
Right.
You broadened our horizons with a coffee cold brew
Old fashioned. Now this one, before I start to talk about it, there's going to be a disclaimer. There's a fire extinguisher.
Why do we
here.
have a fire extinguisher?
So I'm going to be quoting one of my favorite culinarians out there, Alden Brown.
Okay.
There should only be one thing in your kitchen that only does one thing. That's the fire extinguisher. It's there for safety. Do not make this drink at home.
Are you a trained professional?
We're going to go trained professional. I did go to culinary school. They teach you how to use fire as a tool.
You're a trained professional.
I've done tableside cooking for a long time. I know how to light things on fire. We're lighting things on fire.
Don't do this at home.
Don't do this
is what
at home.
he's saying.
We're making a Cafe Diablo, or what I affectionately call a Cafe Diablo, which just devil coffee. We're lighting it on fire.
Devil coffee.
Devil coffee.
Let's
So
do it.
we're going into it. We're going to add to our batch of coffee that we made up for the first one.
And when it comes to the coffee beans and the brew and stuff like that, that's all personal preference, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I enjoy, full honesty, when I usually drink coffee, it's with cream and sugar.
Okay.
So I usually get to Folgers.
Okay.
I'm that kind of guy. But
Easy.
when
It's nothing
I
wrong with
want coffee, I get a dark roast Italian.
Okay.
And
So deep, rich,
oily,
full of flavor.
I like that when I actually want a real cup of coffee.
Okay.
And you drink it black. That's why I have a Chemex.
Got
This
ya.
is how I make my coffee for that. It makes a beautiful cup, as I've already stated too many times.
Again, I feel sorry for anybody that can't smell this.
I mean, fresh coffee is an amazing smell. So as we're going into this, we're going to be doing 3/4 of an ounce of chocolate rum, the Selva Ray. I'm not a huge celebrity brand person, but Bruno Mars did something fun with this one. It's the only chocolate rum that I've tasted that I was like, oh, I can do that.
Good chocolate rum.
So we're gonna put a little bit of that. Not a lot. We are going to do just a touch of allspice dram.
Okay.
So we've used this before in the tiki drinks.
Okay. What kind of spices are typically in that one? Is it strictly allspice?
It is really just allspice.
Okay.
And it, to me, just smells like Christmas. And just the slightest little bit.
Okay.
It's a very powerful.
Because it can be overwhelming.
There's a lot to it. It comes through beautifully. And again, just not even half an ounce of sugar, as the rum is sweet.
It's sweet on its own.
So you don't need to enhance that a lot. All right, now we get to the danger part.
That's why I was like, these feel safe so far.
This is safe, this is normal.
These are things that we drink on a regular basis.
So, overproof rum is very high alcohol.
When you say overproof, what's the proof?
It is 132.
That would be high proof.
So 132 proof.
And the rum itself pairs well with the drink and the rum that we've already put in the drink.
Correct. Now, as we have already stated, this is dangerous. This is fire. We are doing things that you shouldn't normally do.
That's why we're drinking outside the box.
That's why we're drinking outside the box. We're gonna let that warm up a little bit. We're gonna pour our coffee ahead of time so we don't have to worry about it.
So we have rum, allspice, coffee.
A little bit of sugar.
And the sugar, okay. All things I would drink.
And then you're gonna warm this up a little bit. Not?
Just a smidge?
Just a smidge. It'll catch fire.
I don't know what's making noises, Brian.
It'll catch fire easier when it's warm. You want the vapors to start to come up. But again, I'm not telling you how to do it, because you shouldn't.
You shouldn't. That's not hot on your hand?
No.
Wow.
You know, again, lots of practice.
Okay.
Holding hot things.
I fully trust you. Do I need to get the fire extinguisher ready?
Nope. So there it went.
Oh, it's on fire.
It is on fire, as you hopefully can see. And the Diablo part is it's all about the show.
Oh my goodness.
You want to light that on fire and pour it.
And the entire thing is on fire.
The whole thing's on fire, and you just go back and forth.
How does that stay on fire?
Well, that's why you do the high proof. And the bar's on fire.
And the fire on fire. And the mat.
It's all right. It's just rubber.
Are there smoke alarms in here?
That's why you don't do it. That's why I
do it at home. He's a trained professional.
And you pour it into your coffee on fire.
Oh my gosh.
It'll put itself out.
Oh, the flames.
And pro tip, let it go out on its own.
Do I need this to drink it?
You don't need that to drink
okay.
it. It's off. It's not burning anymore.
Check it.
The cup is still burning. And here is your Cafe Diablo. With some reckless abandon to it, as all good things in life should have.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So,
I mean, the rum's right on top. It's
right
still
there.
floating.
Yeah. So like it was all rum on the nose. I barely got coffee.
So,
But that first sip is still really good.
well, plantation overproof rum is a delicious rum. And as we get the rest of those flavors worked in there, this is just a delicious coffee drink. Even
The
though
chocolate is subtle, the allspice.
just there.
I think the only thing it's doing is complementing the coffee and the rum, those two elements.
And even using 132 proof rum
Right.
as the top, each of these has about an ounce and a half of rum
Yeah.
of that rum in it.
And
It's
even
not hot,
At all.
alcohol-wise.
At all, yeah. I fully support this one.
And that one's a lot for the show.
Open flame and all.
It's fun. You gotta have fun with life.
Okay. Even though we're telling people not to do this at home.
Don't do it.
Don't do it at home.
Make the other ones. They're a lot safer.
Well, Brian, I mean, okay, could you make this one without the fire?
Of course you could. You could just warm the rum if you wanted
Warm
to,
it.
and pour it in there so it doesn't cool your drink down too much.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be on fire.
So there are no open flame requirements
Right.
for this one. Okay. Well, Brian, thank you once again for lighting the box on fire.
Yeah, this time we tried to burn it down.
You did burn it down. You did fine. Just a little flame, little singeing, never hurt anybody.
Yeah, they're fun.
If you want to follow all the fun we're having, follow us on social media. But if you want to find out first what's going on at Cap and Cork and what Brian is up to, drinking outside the box wise, sign up for our email newsletter at capandcork.com. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.